Most dentists aren't trained to run businesses, let alone scale them. This is the TechDental Podcast for dental leaders who want more than just tips. We give you systems, strategies, and straight answers. I'm Dr. Randeep, and each week I sit down with the operators, AI founders, entrepreneurs, and business leaders who are reshaping what's possible in dentistry. If you want a smarter, scalable, future-proof practice, then this is the podcast for you. Welcome back to the TechDental Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Randeep, and this is where we explore the future of dentistry through the lens of AI, strategy, and enterprise-level transformation. Today's guest operates at a rare intersection of leadership, technology, and market intelligence. He's the founder of Viviscus Dental Partners, a dental tech and AI growth advisor, and the creator of DentAIware, the dental AI and software market intelligence platform that helps DSOs, multi-site groups, and investors discover, compare, and shortlist the right technologies with objective, data-driven insight. My guest today is Andreas Augat. Welcome to the podcast, Andreas. I hope I pronounced your surname correctly.
Perfectly well. Thank you for having me. It's a great pleasure to be here and looking forward to the podcast today.
I want to start a little bit at the beginning. So you spent your early career inside Straumann, one of the most established global organizations in dentistry. So that kind of environment teaches discipline, structure, and how large-scale decisions are made. Talk me through that experience. What did your time at Straumann teach you about innovation, risk, decision-making, and the reality of enterprise-level operations?
Sure. Thanks for the question. Yes, fresh out of university, and maybe just to share the information as well with the audience, I'm not a dentist. I have no dental background as such. So I was studying business administration and marketing at the university in Switzerland. And then for me, it was sure I want to stay or I want to start in healthcare. And I saw this graduate program at Straumann. Never heard the name before. Dental was another world, except for going to the dentist every year, once or twice. I've never been in touch really with dentistry. But saw this graduate program, and it was an 18-month program. Really loved what I was reading. I applied and actually started 6 weeks later. So it was an amazing experience as well. And I must say, it continued as such. So during the graduate program, but then as well, all the other roles I had, and mainly in sales and marketing, it was an incredible experience. This nice saying, what got you here will not get you there. I think that's exactly what it is. And I think you need to keep growing. You need to grow yourself, grow with the company. And that was definitely something I could in Straumann. So in all these years, I learned a lot. I learned a lot from my managers, from leaders in the company, saw how they are doing things. And I think this is everything that I have now in my backpack that I can hopefully use in the years to come. But yeah, I think it was an exceptional start in the industry. And over these 10 years, I really got to love dentistry. I worked with hundreds of different dental clinics in over 30 countries. So it was a quite international roles that I was in. So yeah, it was an amazing time, and I'm really grateful for whatever and everything I was able to do there.
When you left Straumann, what gap did you see that pushed you to build DentAIware? Most founders build a tool. You've built an intelligence platform, a system designed to connect practices, technology companies, and investors through objective evaluation. What was the insight that sparked that? And how did you bridge the cultural divide between traditional dental operations and the new world of cloud, APIs, AI workflows, and digital procurement?
Okay. I think there's a lot in this one question, but let us break it down a little bit. Over the years, of course, Straumann is selling as well software and AI tools with different tools. Don't want to name them all here, but I think you know what I'm talking about. So I was already in touch with customers talking about these tools. But what I've realized is that there is a gap between the knowledge that dentists have, the willingness maybe as well to learn about them, and maybe what they need, or at least what industry thinks what they need. But I think in some cases, it is really, if you look at the average dental clinic today, the gap between where we think we should be and where we are with some of them is quite huge. And so we talk really about clinics run on paper, still on paper and pen. And I think that's as well a huge opportunity that we're facing today. The digital transformation in dental clinics or for dental clinics is a huge opportunity. be it for the clinics themselves, because I think they can become a much better version of themselves. But of course, as well for vendors and suppliers and real people who want to support dental clinics, and in the end as well, how patients are being treated. And I think that is the most important part in dentistry. We are talking healthcare. I think having that in mind is very important.
And the industry you stepped into is really crowded. It's noisy, it's fragmented. So let's explore that next. The dental software and AI landscape has exploded. You've got imaging, diagnostics, BI platforms, lots and lots of tools, and the sheer number of vendors is overwhelming. According to your platform, this fragmentation is a strategic risk, not a convenience. So how should DSOs navigate this vendor overload? What signals should leaders look for when evaluating any new technology provider?
There again, I think just to start off, and so what I've realized in the last couple of months, really doing deep research on the whole market, and I'm still thinking I'm just scratching the surface here. And on my platform now, I have over 550 different software solutions and AI tools for dentists, for the dental industry, and for dental professionals. So very specific niche. But the sheer amount of different tools that there are in the market is overwhelming for the majority of people. Because who would be able to look at 550 different, or even more? And I say probably there are hundreds of more solutions out there that I haven't even mapped out yet. But yeah, how would you go through all of these if you're just looking for specific tools? So I think that was basically as well the issue that I saw in the market, is that you have these different vendors and you have companies coming into dentistry as well that have no clue about dentistry, but they think there's good money to make. And they all have great products, great software. But I think understanding dentistry is important. And so understanding how it works, what works differently as well, especially when we're talking clinical workflows, the patient journey in dentistry. So these are all topics that I think some of them miss out. And so I saw a gap initially that there's just too many solutions out there. So just by categorizing them, bringing them into, let's say, a structure and an overview with a market map, that was basically the starting point. So next up, what I'm trying to do is really map them as well to the patient journeys, different patient journeys for dental clinics, and as well the clinical workflow, be it implant, ortho. There are so many great tools out there that can help dentists and dental professionals with each of these different workflows that I think we should be able to show that to people to make them aware of how they can be helped. As said, I think the gap between pen and paper clinics and fully digital clinics is so huge. And as you said, I think especially with more and more DSOs coming to the market as well, they are more professional, especially when it comes to buying software. And they have other means, they have more resources to do their research as well, maybe on their own. But I think what's important as well is to support every DSO, be a multi-clinic group, be it a single dental clinic, because I think they have the right to use the latest and best technology as well. And I think to help them as well get a little insight and overview of what's out there is really helpful. And so that's really what I'm up to.
And we talked a little bit about maybe market confusion. So kind of people coming from outside the dental industry into the dental industry with the software solutions. And as we both know, that there's a lot of nuances in any industry, especially the way dentistry is structured. Small businesses, still a lot of them are independently owned. There's a fragmentation of data and different tools out there, different PMSs, different systems. So what's the main pattern that you're seeing? How do you filter out the useful tools from the ones which have some promise? And also, how do you categorize the ones which you feel are just not going to work or they're not fit for purpose? Yep. Just talk us through your thought process and how you filter these in your platform.
I mean, I think there are two sides here. So one is really the technology side, and one is as well let's say more the implementation side, let's say customer success side. And so if we're talking about the technology side, if we're looking at what is AI today, we have basically three categories that we hear about in the media as well. So everything that we have today is actually artificial narrow intelligence. And then you have artificial general intelligence and artificial super intelligence, which are maybe two theoretic models right now that will come at some point. But everything we have today are basically ANI, so artificial narrow intelligence tools. So they are very good at one thing and one thing only, or maybe two, a very narrow field. And they can enhance human work and human capabilities, but they will never, ever replace. And I think that is a first very important point. So everything that we see and everything that really works are tools that are not aiming to replace anybody, not the dentist, not the receptionist, not the nurse, not whoever, not the dental technician, but really enhance their skills and help them in becoming more efficient or have more quality time with the patient. So I think that's the first. And then if you're looking at within, what are the domains within ANI, so artificial narrow intelligence, if we think of deep learning models, basically they can do three things very well. Either it's computer vision, it's natural language processing, and it's speech recognition. These three are the main domains within AI today. And if we think about these three, we see different tools in dentistry working very well as well within these three domains. And I think they will, and they do already, have a huge impact on dental clinics. If you think about just starting with patients walking in or patients calling a dental clinic, and they want to get a time where they can basically visit the dentist. So they call, and probably nowadays, in the majority of cases, at least for the clinics that have AI implemented, they are calling a bot. But, and I think that's basically a good thing, they actually reach somebody. It's not that there's one receptionist need to answer calls every minute or every 2 minutes, and they don't have any time to actually welcome the people that are, or the patients that are actually coming to the dental clinic. So I think if you're looking already at this first use case of AI voice, bots, and telephone solutions, I think it's a great thing that finally you free up the receptionist to do the work that they were supposed to do and they love to do, which is the direct personal interaction and not being on the phone all the time. And the same for computer vision. If you think of the X-ray tools that are out there, diagnostic X-ray tools, huge advancements in the last couple of years. Here is an AI that can support you in finding pathologies on an X-ray, which is a very repetitive task if you think about it. So that's a great use case there. And I think for natural language processing, same thing. If you can have tools that support you and then finally as well the patients in really getting better care, because you free up very administrative, boring time as well, I think that's a good thing. These three major domains in AI are really helping, I think, dentists, dental professionals in general.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about the dental industry is because it's so people-oriented. So you're always going to have this human in the loop, which you should in a regulated industry, healthcare, dentistry, which may be different from the use cases or how it's adopted in other industries. And I'm hearing this a lot from the people in AI and from business leaders, that the thought is that it will multiply the ability of the human to actually act effectively on the human-centric tasks. AI really to take over the repetitive tasks, the admin, the boring tasks, the day-to-day tasks that get mentally very taxing, and are necessary, but don't necessarily move the needle that fast because you're tiring out the staff. So it's quite interesting in dentistry. I think it's a very unique and interesting industry to be touched by AI. And it'll be interesting to actually look at this in 3-5 years' time and compare how the AI adoption has panned out across different industries and what the effect is. But what I'm seeing from a lot of the research that's coming out and a lot of the thought leadership around this area is that in dentistry, I think you may have even a higher multiplier effect because you're going to get rid of the tedious, repetitive tasks. That's going to be done without human error. And so that's going to be more accurate. And then the humans are going to be freed up to actually work on the strategy and vision of the actual business and the direction of the business. And that will have its own return on investment. So you're actually compounding the AI plus the human. So I think it's very exciting.
Totally agree. And I would even argue, maybe it's even the case that maybe it's a contrarian view, but we might be even in a place where we say AI, so artificial intelligence, is humanizing dentistry. Because as I said, since we're freeing up time, dentists can spend much more time, quality time with the patients to explain, to communicate. And I think that is something that is so valuable for the patients as well, to build up this trust, to build up this relationship. So I think even though there are some people who think AI is doomsday and will replace all people, I think quite the contrary can be achieved. If we do it right, then we actually will see that AI will humanize dentistry.
And Andreas, what would you say to a practice owner and they're exploring AI, but they're just confused about the range of tools there? What would be like a quick win for them in terms of implementing something that would have a real world effect? In your research that you've done over 500 different platforms and software categories, where would you say they would have the immediate kind of ROI where they could actually understand and see how this is working?
I think that's a difficult question. And that brings us as well to, we had this one side technology, but the other side is the people. So I think it's so much about as well the mindset, not only of you as a clinician, as the maybe clinic owner, dentist who wants to implement something, but as well, is your team ready? And I think that is probably the first thing you should look at, because even the best tool, if nobody's using it, it will be useless. And then I think the next question you should ask, am I ready as well from infrastructure point of view? AI, by definition, needs a lot of data. AI is learning from your data, from your personal data maybe as well, depending on what kind of tool it is. But it needs data. So depending on how your dental clinic is set up and how you've managed it in the past, basically, I think everybody knows the saying, sorry to say, but shit in, shit out. If the data that you already have just doesn't work and you've never invested in managing your data and have clean data as well, be it in your patient database or in your clinical work, your x-rays, your CBCTs, whatever it is, if that's all a mess, then no AI will fix it. And I think we need to be very clear as well. And vendors and software solutions should be very clear there as well, because otherwise, there are expectations out there that AI will fix everything. It will not. It will definitely not. It will enhance whatever you have, because it has not an own cognitive behavior or capabilities. It just acts on the data that you already have and on the stuff that you already have. I think it's so important to have these two in place first before even thinking about what would be the best tool. Where can I start? Start with your people and start with your data. If you get this right, everything else down the road will be so much easier. And then, of course, let's assume you have already a clean database, you have people motivated to go all in. That's great. Then I would start with, where do we have the biggest issues? What's the biggest challenge today? I think we must come to a place where we look at the problems or the issues out there, the challenges, and then we find solutions according to how can we overcome those challenges. And in a dental clinic, same way. That's how you build up a company, and that's how you should as well basically act or do, and that's what you should do in every project. What are the biggest issues? Where do we spend most time? Manual, repetitive tasks that could be automated. Looking at these first and thinking, okay, how can we improve that? And then thinking, is there a tool for it? Can we use AI to automate it? Can we use a software tool to help us? But I think we must come from what's not working today and then going backwards and then looking into solutions rather than looking at fancy solutions there are so many fancy solutions out there and they promise the world. That's fine. That's great. But if that's not what's missing in your dental clinic, then they will not have this impact. So I think that's why it's so important to really think about what are the issues that you're facing, what processes are broken, where can we improve? And you should talk to your team as well. It shouldn't be the dentist, you as a clinic owner sitting there and just thinking, what can I implement now? I have some spare money until the end of year. I need to spend some money. That's definitely not the right approach, I would say.
So glad you brought this up, because this is one of the things that really excites me about AI in dentistry in particular, because historically dentistry has been small businesses and everybody does things in their own way. There's not much standardization of data. And what I'm hearing from you is really that before we even start talking about the technology, we should take the step back and get the foundations right. And I think this is where it's exciting, because AI is almost forcing people to go back to fundamentals. So the culture, the people, the processes, and already without even developing an AI tool or implementing an AI tool, you're already increasing your enterprise value just by going through the journey of getting to the stage of AI. So then just imagine once you have the AI in there and everything is aligned, your leadership, your culture, your people, your data, then really I think the ROI would surpass anybody's wildest expectations. But you're right. I think when you have a new technology and there's lots of vendors pushing hype to get sales, etc., obviously the customers, the end user, they're going to get confused. And also, I think the harmful thing is not only will they get confused, but they will actually give up on AI because they will see these tools don't work. So that they don't understand the nuances of software and how it works and data. And it's also very exciting as well, because if you get all these things right, then really the sky's the limit in terms of what AI could do for your organization.
Totally. But I think there is as well one thing that I think vendors can do. And these companies, I think they have not an obligation, but I would say they can really support the dental clinics and, let's say, groups, DSOs as well in this journey. I think just throwing a software over the wall, hoping that it will work, that would fall really short on what they should actually do. And so I think this whole part of doing pilots, starting with pilots and showing impact, but then as well, the whole part of customer success becomes even more important to really help them get an impact and return on investment, but help them as well with continuous impact of the software.
Yeah, I think that for sure the partnership model is the way to go, because there's, as you mentioned, there's a lot of education and a lot of kind of laying the groundwork before a tool is implemented. And that's only going to work if you work in partnership with a clinic. So yeah, not just to throw a tool at them and say, here you go and use this, but actually, do they understand how it works? Do they understand what needs to be done before you implement it, like you mentioned? So really the way I look at it is like the core architecture needs to be stable, and that's the core architecture of the actual organization. And that's the people infrastructure, the tech infrastructure. The whole core needs to be stable for AI to really work. And then I think the interesting thing, and it'd be great to get your take on this, is how do you think investors are viewing technology? Do you think at the moment it's at the stage where they're looking at tech adoption in a dental business environment and using that as maybe a proxy for operational maturity, increased valuations? Are you seeing anything like that at the moment, or are they still watching from the sidelines?
They're very active and watching very closely what's happening there. And I think we can all agree that with a solid tech stack in place, a dental clinic or a small group is more valuable. So if you can prove that, what we've discussed before, if you can prove that you have the culture in place, you have the data in place, and based on these pillars, you have put on top some tools that really drive efficiency, drive quality as well, drive a patient experience. I mean, all these will prove that this specific clinic or group or DSO has done its homework, and that will mirror as well in their valuation. That will attract investors as well.
This leads really into kind of your overarching thesis, is that intelligence is the strategic edge. So your platform is built on the philosophy that technology is no longer the differentiator. It's the intelligence about the technology that's the differentiator, especially when you've got so many tools and so much hype and so much noise. How would you advise either a single clinic or a large group? How should they think about technology or tech stack strategically?
But the question is really, how does it work together as well? So I think the whole part of interoperability today is a huge topic. It's not that we are missing on the number of tools. What we're missing maybe as well how they work together. This whole question of interoperability and how do these different systems work together today, I think is a huge challenge for the majority as well, because you don't want to end up with 20 different, even though you have 20 challenges, 20 different solutions, 20 different lock-ins. Question is, how do you make it as easy as possible? What are maybe as well core systems that basically lead all other systems, or where all other systems can be integrated into? This might be today, it seems like the PMS is the core in many clinics, but let's see if that's going to be the same in a couple of years down the road. And so maybe there are some platforms that will evolve that will take over this role, and where basically every technology that you have in the dental clinic will then integrate into that platform. So you can manage everything from one place. I think that sounds like an ideal place. Because one thing that you want to try not to do as well is lock into one vendor, where there might be one vendor out there promising they have everything on the shelf and you can get everything from one vendor. What happens if they are down? What happens if their technology is no longer supported? They are raising the prices through the roof. So you're too dependent on just one. So I think building up a heterogeneous tech stack that is supported by different suppliers, but still integrates so that you can use all the data across all systems is super important. And that's probably, I would say, the biggest challenge. So the biggest challenge today is not to find the technology. So even though this is the starting point, I think it's becoming more and more as well, how do we integrate then? And that's something that this piece of information that I'm working on as well on DentAIware to help them understand how do the different systems work together. So that's basically the next evolution, let's say, of DentAIware as well, from being just, let's say, market intelligence, learning about the tools, to understand as well where do they fit in the patient journey and the clinic workflows, and how do they interact as well with all the other tools that the clinician, the dental professional might already have in their clinic.
Yeah, I think the piece about infrastructure and interoperability is quite key there. And I think really from a very basic level information for our listeners, the main thing really is they need to be on a cloud system. They need to be really evolved to this, gone to the stage now where they embrace fully the cloud system, because really that precedes everything. If you're on a legacy system, you're not going to be able to evolve or grow in a secure and robust way. And that's also key. I think it gives the dental owners or C-suite leaders, it gives them that diversification almost. If you see that they're not putting the eggs in one basket, you have different tools they can integrate. So I think it's a great time, because you've got a lot of systems are using the open API structure now, allowing tools to plug in. And that way you get a better experience for the end user. They can choose the tool that they wish to use. And also it gives them that safety that if a certain tool is not fit for purpose, they can switch it. No. So I think the infrastructure is there. And it's really important for our listeners, I think, to understand that the basics need to be there. If you really want to take advantage of any of this, from the very basic system, the core, the PMS, migrate to a cloud PMS, and it's safer, more robust and scalable. You don't have to worry about the servers going down. And then really from there, you can, as you said, do a cost benefit analysis, see what your specific business is missing, and start there. And also, don't throw loads of tools at the same time. Try and take a staged approach.
Yeah, totally. And that's what you've said there is so true. I think looking for tools that are open and have easy API access so other tools can connect as well is super important. The companies out there claim to be open and they have API, and they might have APIs, but if you really want to work with them, they really don't. And they're not open to work together, to partner, to collaborate. So I think that we will see as well some consolidation in the market. And I think the solutions that are really open and up for collaboration will be the ones that finally as well will succeed. Because I think I don't see that in dentistry there's one major player that could be, let's say, the Apple of dentistry, could build a system that is a closed system and they could benefit based on that. I don't see that. I think you need to be open. You need to collaborate and partner with other tools and solutions. And like that, you will be successful in the place.
What's one belief about dental technology that will age extremely well over the next decade?
I think technology is super important, but it will not take over the world and will not take over dentistry. So I think, as we said in the beginning, combining AI with HI, with human intelligence, artificial intelligence and human intelligence will be the future, I think. So
one mindset dental leaders must adopt it to thrive in the AI-driven era.
Being open to learn new things, adapt quickly, I think that's what we need. Not only in dentistry, but pretty much there as well.
And just finish this sentence. The most valuable asset in dentistry's future will be?
I think it's all about the people. Without the dental professionals who care and take care of the patients, I think no dental clinic will thrive. And so you can have the best AI tools, the best software. If you don't have the people who are willing to go the extra mile and care for the patients that are in need, they will not be successful.
Andreas, where can people connect with you and learn more about DentAIware?
They can find me on LinkedIn. You have Andreas Augat. You can find me on LinkedIn. And then where is DentAIware.com. It's a nice overview of, as said, more than 550 tools. And yeah, you can contact me on LinkedIn as well if you have any questions. It was a great pleasure to be here. It was really fun recording with you and really appreciate the time with you.
Andreas, thanks for coming on. It was an amazing conversation. I enjoyed it very much. And I think our listeners got a really nice overview of what to do and what not, more importantly, what not to do and what traps not to fall into, which is great. And for everyone listening, if you enjoyed this episode, follow, subscribe, and share. You really help us grow. Thank you for all the positive feedback and reviews. It really means a lot to me and the team. I'm your host, Dr. Randeep, and this is the TechDental Podcast, your strategic briefing for the cognitive age of dentistry. You can reach us at www.techdental.com, email info@techdental.com, or reach out directly on LinkedIn. Until next time, keep learning, keep innovating, and stay tuned as we guide you through the disruptive age of AI.
Scaling a business isn't a dream, it's a decision. This is the TechDental Podcast. And if you found value today, follow, share, and subscribe. This is the edge every dental leader needs.